Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Akshay Shah, founder and CEO of iWeb, making business application easily consumable and allowing customers to get value quickly with no disruption to their existing business. Akshay is a graduate of University of Mumbai. Hi Akshay, welcome to ELI.
Hi, thanks. Hi, Priyank. Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Akshay, would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
So, hi guys. I am Akshay Shah, founder CEO iWeb Technology Solutions. At iWeb, we digitize universities and colleges, and we work specifically in the Indian space. We are co-founders, but I'm representing them today on screen.
Okay. Uh, Akshay, can you tell us about iWeb in detail? What are the services it provides and what are the different products it has? What is the number of employee? And before you go on to explain these, I found this statement in your LinkedIn page saying making business applications easily consumable and allowing consumers to get value quickly. Can you define the statement?
So,
Can you explain the statement?
uh, so see, in layman's language, if we see enterprise application, if you look at B2B space, it's a complex space. Okay, we've been in this business for long enough. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to simplify the complexity of large business apps, make it easier for people to consume, okay, and cost effective. That's what we mean. That's what I meant by saying that statement. And as far as the business, what we are into, we digitize universities, colleges. Our focus is India. And by digitization, I mean we automate the entire life cycle of universities and colleges, right from student pre-admission to student exit, including the staff, administration, management, government compliance, all of that we cover on a common single platform. So what we've seen is there are many products in the market which focus on niche, but when you look at a complex university or a college, what they're looking at is an end-to-end solution and not a niche, because that will never help them digitize fully. So our aim is to make universities smart universities in the true sense and digitize everything. That's our idea. Yeah, Priya.
Okay. Uh, Now tell us what are the services you provide to what are the different areas you operate in and who are your typical clients? What is the size of the company in detail?
So, so typically what we give is an end-to-end cloud workflow-based solution. Okay, we start right from student automation, so right from pre-admission, admission, fee collection, examinations, results, attendance, timetable, okay, and up to even assignments of students. See, due to COVID, many colleges and universities are now opting for online assignments. We will enable that. E-learning is a part, but we are more focused on edtech stack. We integrate with e-learning companies, but we are not into e-learning. We are more on the back-end operational digitization because we feel that is where the true value comes to a student or a university today. आज learning वाले बहुत है market में, मतलब you name them, you have them, Khan, An Academy, Udemy. So there's a lot of content available, but there is nobody to assimilate that content and give to a university or a college on a seamless platform. Okay. So our solution even enables that. So we are working with a lot of many open source players. Our idea is to get in best content on the platform to along with our enterprise solution and help teachers create more content and disperse that within students and multi universities. So going forward, our idea is to link one university to another, have them sharing of data as well as courses, and they can even share students. So if they are all on a common platform, you could do a whole lot of things which is missing as of now. Every college university has their own silo of platforms. They're not talking to each other. We want to make this seamless, like a core banking. आज आप banking में देख लो, एक bank can integrate with another bank in spite of them having different solutions because they are on a common platform. They have a core banking solution. आज आप education segment देख लो तो universities, colleges, and even schools don't have an end-to-end solution. That is what we are trying to solve. We want to give them end-to-end solution so that everybody is digitized in the true sense, not just one part of it, not just accounting, not just fee collection, not just admission, the entire process, including file tracking. बहुत universities में file अटक जाती है एक department से दूसरे department नहीं जाती, people don't know. Okay, we want all of this on a common platform. That is our mission. As far as the team size goes, we are around 25 odd people between Bombay and Pune. We are mostly techies. We have an administration staff of around 5 to 10 odd people, but rest all are techies. So basically the developers, testers, and analysts.
Okay. Akshay, as you rightly mentioned, many big names are there in the educational content space. For example, Unacademy, Byju's, or be it any learning or the typical edtech companies. If you look closely, they are not edtech companies; they are content companies, educational content companies. But the true edtech is in the technology space, the technology, the core technology that is enabling those players. And you give a nice analogy between the banking industry. There is a core banking product, and then there is some retail uh, or front ends like phone pay, Google Pay, taking that technology to the consumers, but
Okay.
they are not the technology companies,
Okay.
right? So as you rightly mentioned,
So, so
my question would be, how what are the new technologies in the true sense technology? When I say technology, what are the new technologies that are gonna come up in educational space in coming days?
like I was saying earlier, I see a lot of startups working on AI, ML in and around technology. Like we ourselves are developing algorithm, okay, which will track students' performance, and we are trying to build, tools around that, which will help students, parents, as well as teachers to understand the true journey of a student in a university or a college. आज होता हुआ है कि काउंसलर आके आपको बताता है आप किसमें अच्छे हो किसमें बुरे हो, okay, but there is no scientific data based model which runs and says, hey, you're 5 years in your university, you are good at this, bad at this. So we are ourselves are building such a algorithm on an ML technology, okay, on our platform, and I see multiple other companies doing so. There's a lot of thing in and around AI ML which is happening. Okay, there's a lot of development in and around niche automation. So exams as a module, if you look at, people are automating in a very big way, where many companies are working on solutions where you could sit at home and give your exams and you are tracked properly. ऐसा नहीं हो कि you are pilfering or copying or cheating. Okay, so there are a lot of technologies. Face reading is a very big platform which is being inbuilt into education segment, not just for attendance but also for your exam. Okay, also for emotion mapping. Okay, there are companies who are also emotion mapping, that how tense you get when you give an exam, or how tense you are in lectures, and build various tools, various health tools around that, various wellness tools around that. So a lot of innovation is happening. Honestly, see, globally बहुत हो रहा है. How much of this happens in India or comes to India, I don't know, because of two reasons. One, our Indian entrepreneurs, it's not they are not tech savvy, they don't want to do this, but our Indian VCs are very typical, are that herd mentality guys. So even if I try to do something new here, okay, I won't have the wherewithal, the capital, the support, the other entrepreneurial ecosystem to support me. Most of them will say, यार ये नहीं चलेगा इंडिया में, नहीं होगा. That's what has happened to us also. नहीं चलेगा, ये नहीं होगा. Just follow what they are doing, and you will get your money, or you will get the funding. And honestly, that's what is happening. Our VCs are typically herd mentality guys. Byju's चला तो Byju's जैसा और 10 स्टार्टअप्स को फंड दे दिया. अन अकेडमी चला तो उसके सर 5 स्टार्टअप्स को फंड दे दिया. बट आप अगर कुछ नया कर रहे हो या आपके पास कंपटीशन नहीं है, तो दिस एनवायरनमेंट, एटलीस्ट द इंडियन एनवायरनमेंट इज नॉट सुटेबल. ओके, दे डोंट सपोर्ट. दैट्स द ऑनेस्ट ट्रूथ. Yeah, Priyank.
I think that is a big challenge, and not the first time I'm hearing this particular thing. VCs are funding only tried and tested ideas, and that is a big big minus for innovation. Actually, we'll come to the VC part, but would like to hear more from you on the edtech. Uh, EdTech possibilities. Not very long ago, I met an entrepreneur who is building uh, uh, virtual reality based lab experiments platform where students can perform lab experiments virtually from their home using
virtually.
AR and
Yeah,
VR,
yeah,
right? So I believe you must be aware about similar. This is just one example. Can you give us
yeah. Many.
many more
Yeah,
examples like this? What are the crazy things happening in the industry?
yeah. So, like you said, virtual reality is being aggressively used. Okay, not just for labs, but VR is also used for many other things. Like I said, mind mapping is a very big interface being developed by most edtech companies, most research companies. They want to understand more from a student's learning journey on how he can value add better. Like I have some corporates who come to me and also talk that can you design something since you digitize universities? Can you pick a good student and tell us he is good at these things from the beginning? So when we are in the hiring mode, we have that algorithm or we have the data points with us. ये student का journey ये था. He was good at this, bad at this, based on how he performed and how he attended lectures. There's one company who tells us कि बच्चे ने अगर MCA कर रहा है, it's a technical college, a management college, they tell us how many queries he answered or how many queries he raised or how many sessions he participated. Can you build around this data point and give us value add data that when we are hiring, we know this student was above the mark or smart enough. So there is a lot of immersive learning, we call this, in the edtech space happening in and around edtech. ये लैब वाला एक एग्जांपल है, ऐसा मल्टीपल एग्जाम्स में बहुत इनोवेशन हो रहा है. ओके, MCQ based exams हम बोलते हैं, but they are so intelligent questions exams being developed. Every student will have a different question paper. Okay, so there is no chance of leaking, copying, so on and so forth, because every student will have different question set. Okay, so lot of technologies are being developed in and around that. Mobility पे बड़ा focus है. So due to COVID, people are forced to study from home, work from home, off-campus technologies they say in edtech, where I as a teacher don't have to go to campus, but I can do everything what I'm doing in a campus. So off-campus technologies पे बहुत development हो रहा है. Mostly it's happening abroad, but slowly it will pick up. See, India is a resilient economy, so our entrepreneurs will pick that up, do things. But I say going 10 years, like you keep on saying every decade there is some new innovation which has happened. So last 10 years, if they were of e-com or food tech or delivery technologies or maybe Ola Uber, the next decade will be for educational technology. I strongly believe this decade, is for the edtech companies. And since it's so less digitized in India, I see a big growth here happening going forward.
Okay. Akshay, now we will get back to our regular course of questions, which are revolved around your personal journey as an entrepreneur. Would like to start with by asking, when did you think of becoming an entrepreneur?
So yeah, there was no thought in specific I want to do this, but yeah, when I was in college, I got a good chance to work with an entrepreneur, and they were basically into SAP systems. So I learned a lot about SAP while I was in college itself. So when I learned about that, I understood how deep it is, what all it does. And once I was out of college, or during college days itself, there was a big boom of IT tech. Internet had just started in India, that late 90s, early 2000. Okay, so there were a lot of cyber cafes springing up and all. So always web and internet used to intrigue me, and I used to think that we could do something around this. And since I had some brief stint in my college days with an SAP partner, I understood how SAP works. So in college itself, I thought if we can build something like SAP but has to be low cost and has to work on the web, will make a lot of difference to today's SME world, because there's no digitization with small and medium scale. So see, from the beginning, my aim was to digitize the underserved SME, those who don't have the wherewithal. See, पहले से focus ये था. Once I was in out of college or just nearing graduation, so I was actually a BCom grad. I was doing CA. My dad is a CA, so that was the idea. You also become a CA, and I somehow was, managing foundation, inter, CA, and all. But I was not liking what I was doing. So, and I flunked twice. So then one fine day I told dad, "Yaar, even if I become a CA, I won't be a good CA. And I'm liking this internet and tech, and I used to code partially at home, and I had this SAP experience. So I said, can we do something around web-based, solutions like ERP or cloud-based end-to-end solutions? Can we do something around that? And thoda Gujarati background helped. Dad was very supportive. He said, yeah, don't worry. He also liked IT. He also wanted to do IT company and all. So let's start up and we'll figure out how to go about. So there was one of my dad's friend who's also CA, and he he had past experience. He had did portal design and all earlier. So he had a lot of exposure earlier. So I met with him. His name is Ketan Trivedi. He is my founder in iWeb. And he had the decent experience of running companies. He had seen the .com bust. He had a 100 crore valuation which he missed. So he had been there, done that in IT. Okay, and I was a newbie starting. So we both thought we'll come together. He's a functional guy plus done IT, ran companies earlier, and I am more a newbie starting up. We thought we'll come together and start. So we started iWeb way back in 2005. Our idea that time was to digitize cloud-based systems. So our idea was very simple. कोई भी कंपनी को क्लाउड बेस्ड सोल्यूशन देना है जो एसएपी करता है हम लो कॉस्ट पे करेंगे but our focus will be product. We will not do services from the very beginning, and that's why the company's name iWeb, because we wanted to do things on the web. So we did multiple industries. We did manufacturing automation, we did textile. I did big names like we work with Reliance ADAG. Okay, we work with Airtel partially. We work with SFA, Salesforce automation for Airtel. Okay, I did Testimony. I did India Infoline digitization. So we worked multiple things till 2013. Gained a lot of experience, and then trained. Then changed traction because honestly we understood the Indian SMB space is one very cost conscious. Second, they don't understand change requests. They will not pay you for changes. They want fixed cost projects, and that's very difficult when your processes are not streamlined. Suppose 2013 we trained trajectory, started focusing on education as a sector. But yeah, we had a long journey. We've been close knit for long enough, like over 2 decades. I know my co-founder, and the journey was nice. We've been there, done that. Changed a lot of businesses, ideas, changed the platforms, okay, changed trajectory, changed business vertical. Now we are more focused on education due to 2 reasons. One, very standardized. Education is a very standardized industry compared to others, and least digitized. आप आज बेस्ट ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटीज ले लो एंड टू एंड ऑटोमेट कोई भी नहीं है लेस देन 5% of universities are digitized. So scale is big. India has 400 million plus students. Higher education is 40 million plus, which makes it a very, very lucrative industry to dabble into. That's what we are doing. So yeah, briefly, that is how I started up and ended up doing this. There was no plan. I went with the flow. Honestly, ऐसा कभी सोचा नहीं था entrepreneur ही बनना है. ये बनने निकला था. Went into IT. So maybe fate.
How did you find your co-founder? And also, if you can mention, how did you recruit your team as well along the way?
So like I said, my co-founder is my dad's close friend. He was a CA. He had started up earlier. He had the background. He had the backing. He had been there, done that, and brought the company to a level. But then due to .com, it went bust. So he was my dad's close friend. He also wanted to restart his second innings, okay, and do something in IT. I wanted to do something similar. He brought the functional background. I got the tech background, just with hands-on experience and the small SAP stint what I had. So that's how there was a meeting of minds and we came together. Of course, my dad was the backing for us. He's still a backing. Like without the family support, you can't start up honestly. So they are still the social fabric which supports us and makes us, run every single day. So that's how I met Ketan and we started up. Then there were others who joined in. It's a journey. So once there is meeting of mind, people do join in. So that's how they joined in. And you asked me about the team, right? The second question was, one was how we started up, and second, what you asked me?
It's the team. How did you recruit your team, the core team, and what are the qualities you see in a person while recruiting them?
Sure. So the core team, honestly, we were the core initially, to be honest. Okay, then we started recruiting. As a startup, you have limited choices until you're funded. If you're funded and you have a lot of money at your disposal, it's different. We've all along been bootstrapped. So when you put your own money and you are running and fighting with the big guys and stuff. But even today, when we hire somebody, we only look at 2 things. I honestly look at only 2 things. One, power of communication. I want the person to be able to communicate. By communication, I don't mean English. I mean just be able to communicate in any language. Hindi le lo, Marathi le lo, Gujarati le lo, email le lo, chat le lo, but the person should be able to communicate with you. That is a very important aspect for me when I hire. By communication, I mean expression. He should be expressive. कुछ हो रहा है तो ही बताओ, नहीं हो रहा है तो भी बताओ. Okay, don't just sit there doing nothing. That doesn't help. That is one language, or that is one very important aspect what I look in somebody when I'm hiring. And the second aspect what I look at somebody is a fire in the belly, the need. Okay, how needy is it to do this job and to do this work? Okay, there are many people who have multiple offers. They tell us, I have this offer too, I have this offer too. I never opt for such people. It's not I'm against them, or it's not that I don't like. It's good they get some other job and do well. I'm happy. But I want people who have fire in the belly. Needy log हम जो बोलते हैं ना, जरूरत वाले लोग. That is very important because for an organization which is scaling up down now, two things are critical. One, the people have to stick around. So neediness comes into picture. He should like what is he doing. He should be needy to do that. He should be happy to do that. And second, communication. Okay. In IT, honestly, I'll tell you, you can teach everything, but you can't teach how to communicate. Okay. So when I hire even freshers, see, no freshers, no technology. Let's be dead honest. वो सब PPT बना के आते हैं. Okay. Coding रट्टा मार के आते हैं. If you give them a live project, very few can do it. Even the best of IITians can't do it. Let's be dead honest. Okay, they all learn on the job. So if they're good at communication, good at expression, you'll be able to teach them. But if they are bad at that, you can't teach them. So that's the only talent which I then looked for, and which I now look for in people, is the power to communicate. If they can communicate and express, half the battle is won. Rest all you can train them on the job.
Okay. Akshay, I think we are almost up with time. So I'll request you to keep the answer very short. I have three major questions left. First thing is, if you have some experience in the funding related stuff, can you please share with us what was your?
Yeah. So I'll tell you honestly, we were looking at Series A. Due to COVID, we have changed the strategy to look at pre-Series A. I'm raising a bridge round. Quickly, if I tell you, the experience is mind-boggling. We've spoken to more than 50 VCs, and none have told no, but none have told yes. So people are sitting on the fence because what we are doing is something unique. I have very few people who compete me, so there's no competition, there's no relativity. So honestly, if you're trying to raise money, you have to be patient. Okay, and it's not case somebody says yes, you have to jump into that. Look at the DNA, you have to look at the fabric, because honestly, raising money is like marrying. Okay, so when you marry, you look at everything, right?
Okay, Akshay, my next question is, how do you suggest our audience to start their journey as entrepreneurs?
Here, there is no magic sauce for this, okay, or there is no theory, or there is no formula for this. I only believe, like, wherever they ask me, like, should we start up, or who should start up, or when should we start up, it's like वो घंटी बजेगी अंदर से. It's more an inside thing than outside. You feel from the gut you can do this, and you find an opportunity. See, my honest view is, don't become an entrepreneur just for raising money or becoming big or becoming famous. Okay, only become an entrepreneur if you're solving a problem. If you're not solving a problem, don't become an entrepreneur, because you'll get stuck midway. The fuel will get over, you will lose the fire in the belly, and losing something midway or stopping something midway will be disastrous for everybody. Second, only start up if you get sleepless nights. Okay, if you don't get sleepless nights with some idea, with some product, with some plan, or with some project, don't start up. So until you get the sleepless night phenomenon, or वो घंटी बजती है, don't start. This is not a style statement. This is a big journey, and it's not easy. See, if you have to be ready for giving at least 10 years of your life to whatever idea you want to start up with. You can't be fickle minded. You can't think 2 years, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, doesn't work. Be prepared to give a decade of your life. Okay, it's like a mango tree. You grow a mango tree. At the end of 10th year, you might get mangoes, you might not get mangoes, right? That's how a mango tree grows. Entrepreneurship is very similar to growing a mango tree. So if you can't give a decade, don't start up. My honest feedback to all people who want to start up, who are entrepreneurs, give 1 decade minimum. You have that patience.
Okay. On that note, Akshay, I would like to close this session, and it was a
Sure.
great pleasure to host you here at ELI. I think our audience would have got lifetime lessons from this video. Thanks for your time, Akshay, and our best wishes for iWeb.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Viewers, you can connect with Akshay on LinkedIn by searching for Akshay Shah. Also, do visit their website by typing iwebtechno.com. So, whom do you want to have here at ELI for next episode? Do let me know in comments below. We'll be back. Stay tuned to ELI.